Action, Jack.
Are we live? Alright, we're live. Oh, yeah. Hello, world.
Hi, I'm Paul.
Today we're learning about diversity. Just kidding. What are we doing today? Buyers consultations. So we've got a PowerPoint to go through, but other than that, we'll do some Q&A stuff and kind of what I've done over the years, what our team does, probably some chiming in with Scout Group's team, just about general kind of first base touches with new clients and buyer consultations and the form that we have available for you guys to use. Before the consultation, you can send this to them. So anyways, I'm gonna sit down because this is awkward, but hi. So, buyer consultations, how many of y'all do it? Can you see me if I'm down here? Or do I have to stand
Yeah,
up?
you keep going that way. Right
Yeah, a
there.
little bit.
Yeah, right there.
So, buyers consultations, when you get a new client, who tried to do any of y'all try to do those, or do you just meet up with folks right off the bat?
I just meet up with folks.
Just meet up, and there's not like a right or wrong answer. I'm just,
If they're not local, like to bring them to the office.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, doing an actual consultation with new folks, I feel like it's a great thing. We've been trying to implement that more the last several months, just to get in front of folks when you first talk to them, and they get to fill you out, you fill them out, you get way more information across versus just showing up for that initial appointment for a showing from a buyer lead, which if it's the way the market's been the last few years, that's what you needed to do, is just get in front of them as quick as you can. But if you have folks that are brand new, first time buyers, or just don't have a clue of what they're doing, it's really advantageous to get them to come in here or meet them somewhere and just kind of go through the bases with them of how the process works, and it makes it a lot more personable. They get to know you, you get to build some trust, that kind of stuff. So we've been trying to do that as much as we can, unless it's a lead that comes through that's just, it comes in at 3 o'clock and they want to see something at 5. You're not going to have the opportunity to get into the office and talk to them, but you can do some of this stuff while you're there when you first meet them, because you don't want to kind of overload folks on the phone right off the bat and freak them out with a whole ton of information. But this, I think, Ariel, you built most of this, didn't you, or all of it?
All of it.
Shouldn't we have your name up here somewhere or something? But anyways, we'll click through this consultation package we have for you guys, and it's more or less set up to send to buyers before you meet with them. So it'll answer a lot of their questions, and it'll help them be able to put together questions that they have for you when you initially meet. So if the time frame does work for that, this is a great thing to use, because it kind of shows the process and how we do it. But we'll click through this PowerPoint here real quick and show you the ins and outs of it and the key points, and then if you guys have questions, we can do that, or I can kind of tell you how we do it. There's not really anything that's right or wrong, like I said, but we'll just click through and check it out. So this is all available to print off, by the way, or we can, where's it located that they can download it?
On the drive.
It is on the drive, okay. So you guys, we don't even have to send it to you, you've got access to it. But anyways, there's the cover sheet. And then it goes into just an overview of what this is, basically what I just said. It's going through the process. That's what that breaks down. It's prepared by this middle-aged Asian lady. She doesn't have a name.
It's editable. You can put your
Oh, you can edit it. I'm just kidding. This whole thing is editable, so you can make it yours. That's a good point. I should have said that. All this can be changed. So this could look like me, or it could look like Matt, or it could. I mean, it kind of looks like Joey right now. But anyways,
Personalize it, yeah.
personalization is key. That's a great point. So you can have all this with your information, your numbers, blah, blah, blah. Then we got a breakdown of what they're going to see in it. You know, you select an agent, you get pre-approved, you do your consult, look at properties, you write an offer, you go through the whole offer process all the way up to closing and get in your house. So that's just a breakdown of that. Then it goes into more in-depth parts of that, starting with the number one thing that we all should go with whenever we're showing homes to new folks is what do their finances look like? You know, have you already spoke with a lender? Are you cash? Are you pre-approved? Are you pre-qualified? And there's a vast difference in pre-qualified and pre-approval nowadays that we're starting to be a little bit more strict with. If they say, yeah, we're pre-approved, or excuse me, we're pre-qualified, that's great that you're pre-qualified, but there's a lot, we keep getting more and more here lately that we're running into problems with, you know, weeks into the loan process when they actually submit their paperwork, if they drug their feet. Megan just had one a couple weeks ago, or they closed, when did that close? Today or yesterday?
Yesterday.
So we had one close yesterday that we thought might not close because they were pre-qualified, but they hadn't sent, what was it, they hadn't sent in all their stuff.
Like work history stuff.
Yeah, work history, employment, you know, verified income basically. Hadn't all been done, so it was technically still in a pre-qual phase.
All the way past appraisal.
Right, versus a pre-approval. And the pre-qual, you can say whatever you want as a buyer. You can say, I make $1 million a month and I've got no payments on anything and I'm good to go. And the bank's like, yeah, obviously you're fine, but until you have paperwork to back that up, you're not technically an approval, you're just qualified. And then when that paperwork finally comes in, a lot of times it's vastly different from what you were told. And it can literally make or break a deal. Luckily, in this instance, we were able to get it pushed through because they were qualified. But
For a completely different loan type.
it's a pre-qualification holds a whole lot more water than a pre-approval does. Did it end up closing different loan type?
Yep.
It did. It went FHA.
Yep.
We'll talk about that later. That's a different ballgame. But anyways, think about that. And make sure and drive that point home with them that the pre-approval is different than the pre-qual. The bank may say yes, they're fine, but you need to get as soon as you can all the paperwork that the bank needs that they've asked you for. That way they can verify everything, and you're actually a pre-qualification, not an approval, and you're not going to have any hiccups, you know, weeks into the process. Number 2 up there is underwriting. Sure y'all are all familiar with underwriting. It's I mean the lenders take care of all that. We don't have a great deal to do with that. Loan approvals, when you finally get everything done, like I was saying, all the documents are in, everything's good to go. Then you hit the title company. They do their title searches and verify everything, make sure there's no liens on the property, stuff like that. It's a good thing to explain to folks that there can be hiccups in that stage too, because it doesn't matter if we have the house listed or if another agent has it listed, we don't have access to that information. We can't go list a house and everything seem fine and be able to know that there's any types of liens on the property, whether it be taxes or mechanics liens or anything like that the homeowners incurred, because that's private information we don't know unless they tell us. So that's a good thing to let people know about as well. And then of course the end of it's the funding when they go through the whole package and you're at closing and everything's good to go hopefully and you hand them the keys. Yeah, clear to close, exactly. Let's see here. So, and then it goes on into the first step after you view properties is making an offer. You find the property they want, you get the offer wrote to them, decide a price, pick a move-in date that's. Of course, you have to have it set out for a long enough time to complete the loan process, but also you need to check with your buyers as far as when would be a good date for them to close with their schedules. And that's a good thing to when you're writing an offer to reach out to the listing agent about, because there may be certain time frames that the seller's trying to meet that you could make. Say the seller is really eager to get it under contract, but they can't really sell for like 2 months, and everybody's writing offers for 30 days. If you reach out to the agent and you get that information from them, even if your offer is identical to somebody else's, or maybe not even quite as good as somebody else's, that time frame might put you in the loop to win the offer, because your folks are able to extend it for a couple months versus a normal 30-day time frame, which is generally what we go around. So that's the moving date. Additional property, what is that? Okay, so additional property is more or less, I guess this is talking about more personal property. Well, I wouldn't say appliances is, but anyways, you want to make sure when you're making the offer with the listing agent as well, exactly what conveys with the property, because sometimes they'll, in the property condition report it'll say one thing, on the MLS it'll say another. Just make sure and have good clarification on what all the seller is saying stays with the home as far as appliances and things like that. Even if it's got a pool, pool equipment, sometimes people will want to take some of that stuff with them because they've got another pool. Just make sure things like that are well documented, and especially we've run into circumstances in the past with appliances. If a lot of homes have more than one refrigerator, and you just write refrigerator conveys in there. Well, there's 2 in there to begin with, so you need to note that there's 2, and you could really, it's not a bad idea to go more in depth and put the brand name of the appliance and the serial number if you can, open the door and get the serial number off of it. That way, because we've had one that in Bristol a couple of years ago that had 2 refrigerators in it, and we did have 2 refrigerators in the contract, but when we went to do the final walkthrough, there was still 2 refrigerators, but one of them was a different one. And I was like, well, what's up with this? And they were like, she was right. I mean, I didn't even fight her on it. I was like, I should have gone more in depth, because I said 2 refrigerators convey. Well, they took the one that they wanted and put a different one in there, and there was nothing to back that up besides 2 refrigerators, and there was 2 refrigerators there. So now when there's circumstances like that, I always take a little picture of the tag on the fridge or whatever, the appliance or whatever it is, and note that as well. That way it's the one that you're expecting, and they don't throw some piece of crap refrigerator in there. Let's see, it says typically you'll not be present at the offer presentation, which is true. Nobody's ever there for that. That'd be weird. But at that point, they either accept, reject, or counter you with changes. There's oftentimes confusion with the counters as well. So the way it's written, correct me if I'm wrong, Bay, is the counter offer only changes what's stated in the counter. So if you have, $500,000 in the offer and $10,000 in closing costs and whatever closing date, and they send you a counter for $520,000, and that's all it says. That's all it changes from the original offer. Everything from the original offer stays. And a lot of folks want me to reiterate that in counters, and I'm like, no, this is how it works. It's already in there. We don't write this twice. That's just going to cause confusion. So that's a good thing to remember when you're countering with folks is to let them know that everything in the original offer stays the same unless you change it in the counter. Let's see what we got next. Closing 101. So the closing's pretty easy. Once you get to closing, it's your job, if you've done it right, is pretty much over. We hope to have very little hiccups, if any, at closings. All you got to do is show up and bring your money and sign the papers. But the good things to prep them for, and it's all in this packet, so you can, even if you didn't tell them directly, but if you gave them this packet and they show up without their driver's license or something, you can be like, well, we told you this, because that happens a lot too. People will show up without an ID, or they'll show up with an ID that's out of date. If it's out of date, even if you can look at the picture and it's obviously the person, it's still not a valid ID. And title companies won't take it because they have to put their stamp on it. They have to, notarize everything. And if they notarize an ID that's out of date, they can get in trouble. Then you take ownership, they transfer the title over, blah, blah, blah. They deliver the deed, all that. The title company does all this stuff for you. None of us have to deal with that. They go and register it at the courthouse, and it's a done deal. What's this one? Okay, so this is just good stuff for them to check out. And you can customize this too. It's the generic one we've got. Obviously, you can see it says our real estate business is built around y'all's needs, dreams, concerns, questions, finances, time, and life. And you can change that as you need to, obviously. Just good points to go through with people if you do get them in the office and can go over stuff with them and just get them talking. And everybody, what is that saying? What's everybody's favorite topic to discuss? Themselves. Yeah, they'll sit in here and talk to you for 2 hours. Try and keep it to like 30 minutes because you don't need to waste 2 hours of your life in here going over stuff. But I mean, if you can, touch on stuff that's personal to their lives, it does build trust and build rapport with yourself. So. Home search, blah, blah, blah. This one's just saying we're all knowledgeable professional realtors. We're working on their behalf. For some reason, we've got a typo in here. Don't read that. Anyways, move right along. It's got a sheet you can fill out. To kind of get you started with them, and if you can get this to people before you meet with them, this would be a great thing to have, because you already have all their info and all the first questions we ask them, like what's prompting your move, or what's the reason you're moving, when do you need to be moved by, have you spoken with a lender, are you pre-approved, what's your price range, all that pertinent stuff. They can already have in there and send back to you, and you can be prepared when they get in here. Same with this one, home wish list. Where do you want it to be? Do you have any special needs for it? Do you have pets? Is there anything we should know about your lifestyle that would be pertinent to the search? Things like that. Like we get a lot of folks around here that want to shoot. That's been a big thing here lately. Anything about your lifestyle? Yeah, they like shooting. Okay, obviously that cuts out a city search completely. We got to be in the county. We got to have a backdrop, all that stuff. So you got to look for certain types of properties. Ideal locations, that kind of falls into that as well. Commute time's a big one. You know, folks like my dad's always been in anesthesia, and his job, part of his contract requires that if he's on call, his house is within 30 minutes of the hospital. So if it's folks like that, you have to prove that to them. Like, you have to send them the address and they Google it or whatever. Schools, folks with kids, you know, is your school zone important? Are you wanting to be in a certain area to go to a certain school? Different things like skyline, lake, mountain views, blah, blah, blah. Just whatever's important to them or whatever's necessary. The important stuff, or the necessary stuff, is what you really make your checklist off of. And then a second checklist for things they want but don't necessarily have to have, because everybody knows it's so hard for buyers right now. You're not going to check all the boxes. We just check as many as we can. This is just continuing with it, general stuff. You have a preference on the age of the home, move-in condition. Does it need to be, you know, completely ready to roll, or you willing to do some rehab on it? Structure of the exterior, you know, do you want a certain style of house, or does that even matter to you? Lots of people hate split foyers for some reason. I don't mind them. I've owned 2 split foyers, but some people will immediately take that off the list, and there's a box in your search that'll take out the split foyers, so you won't even be sending them those, wasting your time. So it's good to get as much of that info as you can, but I still make the search really broad because it's so competitive right now, and we're lacking, you know, inventory, as everybody knows. This is continuing with the wish list as far as the interior, same kind of stuff, floor plans, blah blah blah, open plan. How many bedrooms do you? That's the biggest one, obviously. How many bedrooms and bathrooms do you need? Preferences for the master bedroom. I guess that's saying, you know, do you want it master on main, or does it matter if it's upstairs? Kitchen features, dining room features, blah blah. All stuff they can answer, but not necessarily pertinent, because you really need to go off of what they have to have, not just what they need, or excuse me, what they want. Same stuff. This is, some of these are part of the big questions, like specific streets or school districts, work location, kind of stuff we've already touched on. Let's see. Then it goes into frequent questions the buyers would ask, such as how are you going to search for homes? How are you going to tell me about the homes? Do we do new construction? What's up with for sale by owner homes? Can we handle that? Can we look at properties multiple times? All that stuff is I mean, of course, it gives them simple answers for that here, but you could go into that with more detail for them, because obviously we could do all that. We use the MLS and multiple other sources to search for homes. I didn't realize what that second one said. Can you show homes other than homes listed by True North? That's kind of a more common thing than I expected it to be too. We get that question pretty often, because they'll mention a house and I'm like, yeah, we can show you that one whenever you want. And they're like, oh, we saw it was with X agency. I didn't think you guys could do that. And I tell them we could show them anything. Like, I can show you a house that's not on the market if we can get a hold of the people. We can show you True North. We can show you any agency in Tennessee that has a property listed. We can show you for sale by owners if we get an agreement or permission from the owner. We can show you something that's not even on the market if we get permission from the owner. So just make that very clear to them, that if they're looking and they see a property that we've not sent them for some reason, let them know, even if I haven't sent you something, if you see something on your own that you like, just holler at me about it, send it to me, and we'll set it up and we'll go look at it. It doesn't have to be those people that have it listed. And same with for sale by owners and stuff. Just have us call them, and we'll handle it. Let's see. What would this be?
Setting expectations.
Yeah, that's true. So, I guess this is something the buyer can fill out themselves, which you could go back reference to help, like Errol said, set expectations with them, which is my biggest thing for doing a buyer consultation, is setting those expectations and letting them know how the process works, because it sucks to get into the process and get, basically get something under contract, and then a question comes up from the buyer and they're like, well, nobody ever said this. If you go through all this with them before, you can reference back to them and be like, we talked about this. Like, earnest money comes up a lot. Well, what do you mean I got to put $1,000 down? And I'm just saying that generically. It doesn't, earnest money can be whatever, but that question comes up a lot, and I'm like, well, I don't have $1,000. I'm like, well, you have to put some type of earnest money down. It's negotiable. Doesn't necessarily have to be that, but that one comes up a lot. And time frames, set expectations with them for that. As far as the process, how long it'll take to do certain things, the financing, the inspections, the appraisals, and your stuff personally. I like to put that in black and white for them at the beginning nowadays, so they don't. It's very easy for folks to not respect your time. And if you set it up at the very beginning in front of them that this is my business, this is how I run it. Yes, I'm available from X time in the morning until X time in the evening. If you call me after that, I may be able to answer you if I can. If not, I'll call you by this time tomorrow. Leave a message. This is a business. It's not, you don't call your doctor raising hell at 10 o'clock at night because you couldn't get a hold of them. And they don't need to do that to y'all either. And they will do that repeatedly if you don't. It's a whole lot easier to nip that in the bud at the beginning than it is to give them the power at first, and they say, well, he's answered me at 10 o'clock at night the last few times I've done it, and then all of a sudden you're like, no, I'm not, this ain't business hours.
You train the behavior.
Yeah, you train them up front. How did you say that? What did you say?
You train the behavior, you won't repeat it.
Exactly. So that'll help you with your, that'll help you more with your personal and home life and sanity. If you're able to set those boundaries with them up front. How does somebody win? Which one? How does somebody win or lose with you? So you could edit that and go ahead and put in some things that you do. Like you could throw your information in on that one, just to reiterate it. Moving checklist, that's a pretty cool thing to have. So, they'll know what they're getting into as far as where utility services are at, internet, bank accounts, different things like that. If they're not local folks, And then again, just kind of an overview. That's basically our thing. Of course, like Errol said, you can customize every single piece of this. You can change the verbiage. You can add pictures or subtract pictures. You can do whatever you want to this thing. But this is a good starting point. Probably change that picture, and
We'll edit it.
maybe I can't even find it now, but you know what I'm talking about.
I saw where it was.
Did you see it? Okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna get on there right now.
And this stuff, the stuff that's on the bottom of the cover sheet here, we've been trying to reiterate this to everybody as well, as far as basically all your marketing goes. Make sure that stuff's just on all anything you post. If you do mailers, make sure that's on a mailer somewhere, just so we abide by all these marketing laws and nobody gets in trouble, because there's some folks that don't have anything better to do with their day because they're not selling real estate than to hunt around and see who's broken a marketing rule, and they'll report you.
Oh yeah.
It's happened to us before.
Yeah, it's happened to me. Not in the last few years, but there at the beginning it was big time. But what do y'all do for your new, like, say you get a Megan, you get a lead in from me. Yeah, I'm gonna pick on you.
Okay.
You get a lead in from us. What's your first step?
Call them.
Okay. What's the goal? The initial call.
Depending
Set
on
an
the type
appointment.
of lead, yes. When they get in front of them as quickly as possible.
Yep. And that's the biggest thing. I'm not saying push this thing on people, but if you get a call for a new buyer and they're just very beginning, starting out, we have no idea what we're doing. We've never bought a house. We don't know anything. They're not calling with a specific property in mind. Shoot them, have a quick conversation with them, shoot them this. Say, let's, when can you meet this week? Sooner the better, Their soonest availability, I'd try to make myself available, because the longer it goes out, the more opportunities they have to click around on the internet and somebody else to make this decision for them. But shoot that thing, you've already got their phone number, get an email address from them, shoot this thing to them and say, it's me Thursday and at the office, and go over this, and we'll go over everything that you're looking for in a home, and we'll pull up what fits your criteria while we're sitting here and put a list of stuff together that we can go look at. And it versus you just being like, yeah, let's go check this house out, which I wouldn't do from that phone call. If you bring them in at first and show them all this, they're gonna feel like this is a way more professional thing. You're looking for them. This wasn't just a phone call and yeah, I'll meet you out there. I mean, that happens. Obviously, we do that daily, but generally that's people that have been looking already. They don't necessarily know the process, but you can go into parts of this while you're in there at the house with them. But yeah, setting up that initial meeting is obviously the biggest thing.
And personalize this before you send it.
Yes, and personalize this. We'll have a couple things adjusted here shortly, so it won't have that on it. But even the banners and stuff, you could put, the cover sheet, you could change. We do still need this stuff on it, but you could put your name and stuff over here and your picture. You don't necessarily have to have, what do you call that? These pictures. You don't necessarily have to have that. You can put a picture of yourself. You can do whatever you want on there.
I prefer pictures of me.
The main thing is not to put pictures of Matthew.
Or
It's
let
detrimental.
Let them review them first, make sure he can zoom in and he's not making
Yeah,
a
Karen-
Actually, reviewing these, that's a great observation, Karen. If you are going to edit these heavily, shoot it to one of us. Shoot it to Joey.
Yeah, Joey.
Shoot it to Joe, just so he can breeze through it and make sure we've not crossed any lines.
Yeah,
Legally.
you can edit those pictures in that section, but you want to keep the True North Real Estate Advisors and
Right.
our number.
Can't be like Lincoln's real estate,
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
You
You
want to
can't.
keep ours to be compliant.
You always want to have our office information on it to be in compliance. You can add your stuff, but the office as a whole needs to be on there for us to be compliant, not to get yelled at by NETA or anybody else.
Because it seems little, but like we've had agent friends in the past before, even like her thing was running realtor. And then
Just because it said realtor, right?
Just because it said realtor,
Yeah.
technically realtor is a trademarked
Yep.
thing. You can put it in your bio, but you can be like Matt McCrory, realtor. Matt, that's all you can do. You can't be like the best realtor. Like you can't do those things because that's trademark. It's using their copyright. Their
Yeah, the actual word realtor is trademarked to make it. I mean, technically, technically my Instagram name's out of compliance.
Yeah, it's just been around so long, everybody's forgotten.
I'm like grandfather, nobody cares.
Yeah, they're
but
like, oh, that guy's so funny. But like hers was, she just met some old agent that sells 1 or 2 a year, had a big listing, that it went through, they negotiated, they didn't get along, and it died. And the next thing you know, her broker was coming and be like, hey, so the state called me, you have to take down any hashtag that says running realtor, any material you've done, like you can't put running realtor. So she had to go and strip all that off. She had marketing.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
And
I forgot about that.
I mean, it's you're fine and dandy. And she'd been doing it for years.
Yep.
Nobody had any complaints, and then it's just that one, curmudgeon who was like.
Another good thing as far as safety goes with the buyer consultation, bringing them in here is if exactly, you get to fill them out. If you get a call and something just seems off, or you something makes you feel uncomfortable, we got forewarn to begin with that you can plug anybody's name in and basically get their rap sheet.
Favorite app in the world.
But you can also, on top of that, bring them in here, schedule it when call any of us, if you feel uncomfortable about something, and especially if it's after, generally there's going to be somebody here, but if it's after hours, holler at one of us will come out here and just be a warm body in the office in case, because I would assume 9 times out of 10, if somebody has ill intentions, they're not gonna show up for a buyer consultation. If they're being sketchy and they're just trying to get you in a house, they're not gonna come to your office where it's your turf on your terms if they're pulling something weird. We get a lot of folks that, and most of the time it's nothing. Most of the time we're just little different than us, but sometimes you get a weird feeling about folks and you need to double check because it's a crazy world now.
I know for some of our single agents, I've heard stories of just goofy guys using this as an introduction just to be able to speak to
A dating app.
Absolutely.
Yeah. They're like, oh, I would love to see real estate, and they're just wanting to talk to you. And
100%.
I've had them string along agents and all that.
Yep.
Just be mindful too, ulterior motives of, hey, after you sell my house, maybe we could go on a date.
Yep.
Oh, probably not the best business move.
Yep.
Guys are weird.
That was off camera.
And that goes both ways. I've heard stories.
It does.
Women
It goes
too.
both ways.
Definitely.
Anybody got any questions? I don't necessarily have anything else.
When are you getting your new dog?
Man, he's gonna be here in July.
All right, baby.
His name's gonna be Jerry. Yeah.
Thank you.
Technically, it'll be Jameson and Jeremiah. Bye, everybody.